Okay. Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner Classic Best Known Classics. This is episode number 2063, Doubleshot 1967, 57, excuse me. Once again, a Marvel and a trade from Marvel and a trade from Valiant this time. First up is from Star Wars. We have Star Wars Obi-Wan. Yeah, the second book that feature his name on it. That's not basically a story from the main Star Wars book by Jason Aaron. Yeah. This book is actually written by Christopher Chantwell, which I believe this guy does some books for Marvel. I'm trying to remember what book it was. I know it's not Amazing Spider-Man. I know that for sure. It's, let's see if I can find it here. I'm trying to think. I believe this one was the one who worked on New Republic, Old Republic, I think it was. Oh, now I remember. This guy was the writer on Iron Man. Yes. This is the guy who wrote the awesome Iron Man run. I kind of forgot that he wrote this one, but this was really good. Yeah, he was actually writing this book when he was toward the end of his wrapping his run for Iron Man. If you're curious to what book he's in currently, he currently does Gold Goblin. He also was working on, basically working on two miniseries. Namor Conquered Shores and Gold Goblin. Gold Goblin is a miniseries focused on the Onazo as well as the Gold Goblin. And their book. His next book is going to be Hellcat. Yeah. Like, okay. Interested. The guy is a really good writer. He also wrote the United States Captain America miniseries, which was really good. He wrote the King of Black Iron Man / King Doom. Iron Man / Doom one shot. Yep. Here, of course, has got to start Marvel doing the short-lived Doctor Doom book, which I have not reviewed it, but I have reviewed. The only thing I reviewed by him is his Iron Man work, United States Captain America, of course, this book, obviously, and that's pretty much it. But his first book he did at Marvel was actually War of the Realms, War Scrolls, number 3. Christopher Chantwell is a really good writer, and this shows the fact he actually do a good Star Wars book. It's a shame he doesn't write any ongoing for Star Wars. Mostly put this book takes place at various points in one's life. And there's only 5 issues with Phil Noto on the cover artwork. Yeah, he does all 5-issue covers. Now, of course, you write a book called Jedi's Purpose. Now, you might be thinking, what is the purpose of this miniseries being out? Simple. The Obi-Wan Kenobi TV show on Disney+. That is the only reason why. Just like the Bounty Hunters book basically was inspired by Mandalorian. And, of course, believe it or not, we actually have a Mandalorian comic book. Yep. Despite Phil Noto being the cover artwork for pretty much not only the cover of this trade, but also the covers for the individual issues, the interior was always done by different artists for reasons. It's basically Virtue 1 is by Art Anito, issue 2 is by Luke Ross, 3 is Sandro Malcuro, 4 is Maldebuk Masarov, and Andrea Maleo. That's issue number 5. Now, the first issue starts out basically all one Tatooine. This, of course, is presumably during the period of time just before Advance New Hope. This present stuff, probably before, like the stuff, like the various other stuff. And we see him writing in his journal, which is something that Luke Skywalker would read from in the issues of Star Wars. Now, we start basically him when he's at the temple, looking for a girl named Garen, who he kind of basically, my guess is before he became Qui-Gon Jinn's apprentice. In the original EU canon, at the time when he became Obi-Wan's apprentice, Qui-Gon's apprentice, he was actually getting close to being too old to be an apprentice. You see, he was 12 at that point, and he was about to turn 13 really soon. And also, he had this thing in the original books where, this of course in the Jedi Apprentice book, where Qui-Gon did not want to take an apprentice because his previous apprentice fell to the dark side. Yeah, that was... Gosh, thanks, Gary. That's some of the reason for it. It's just basically the time on Tatooine. Yeah. Of course, the girls have never seen again. Of course, as punishment for leaving the night, Yoda decided to have Qui-Gon sweep the floor. Issue 2 has, well, Obi-Wan fighting Darth Maul on Tatooine as an old man, which, this actually is something that, if you're curious though, Darth Maul coming to Tatooine, Obi-Wan Kenobi as an old man, this actually happened and also in the original EU canon, except Darth Maul got killed by Owen Lars. He got shot. Yeah. Darth Maul got shot by him. For reasons. I have no idea why. The second issue is set, I would say, well, it's definitely during a time when Obi-Wan was Qui-Gon's apprentice. This is presumably set before Phantom Menace. How much time before Phantom Menace? Probably not long, based on the looks of these two. I'd say it's a year or two before that point. Excuse me. All about basically doing... It's the standard Jedi mission, this one. Issue 3 is set during the Clone Wars, which they even show the fact that Obi-Wan Kenobi at his house he has Tatooine, he still has his old Republic Army armor. Yeah, that was given to him when he became a general in the Republican, the Clone Army. Yes, the only reason why he's made a general was because he actually founded them. Yeah, he found them. Yeah, that's the reason why. And by the way, if you watch the CGI Clone Wars series, he wears his armor the entire series. I don't really remember the reason why he was given this armor, but I remember him wearing it. The show never really explained why he was wearing it for, just that he was. Yep. And of course, the appearance by Ahsoka, who during the Clone Wars series was Anakin's apprentice. But toward the end of the Clone Wars, she stopped being his apprentice and left the Jedi Order. But she kept the lightsabers, which I thought was interesting. And of course, she would later pop up on episodes of Star Wars Rebels, where she got a fight with her former master, who was now at that point Darth Vader. And I believe also showed they even had a brief fight between Darth Vader and Darth Maul. Which I thought that was interesting. Now, this takes place at any point during the Clone Wars. We do see the mustache guy from the show. Great stuff here with this one. Now, in the case of issue 4, this one is not. This is kind of set through the Clone Wars, but my guess is before Anakin got his scar. Actually, you guys got it now. If you're curious, in the original EU canon, Anakin got that scar from Asajj Ventress. Yes, he had to do with her, and he got that scar. In the movie, he doesn't have. He basically there's no explanation for it. That was the original EU canon. And here's the strange thing about that particular fact about Anakin's scar on his face. That revelation was never deemed canon. It's like Disney themselves never bothered to basically make that canon for some reason. Just, Anakin's got a scar on his face, and there's no explanation why he does. But based on his hair length, this is probably before the events. I would say it's still. This is another issue set during the Clone Wars, but just a really good stuff here. But that was the Flash. We also have stuff set before the events of Clone Wars. What if fighting like a guy who's a former clone trooper? And as for the final issue of the series, issue 5, this is set during a time when he's on Tatooine. And based upon basically what we see here by the events of this issue, this is possibly, presumably set during events of A New Hope. I say presumably, but it's not really clear. But this miniseries is really, really good. If you're a fan of Owen Kenobi, check this book out. Christopher Cantwell does a great job. I think Mar made a great choice making the write this miniseries. Yep. Alright, next up it is Shadowman End Times. This collects the 3-issue miniseries that concludes this run for Shadowman. Written by Peter Milligan. Yep. Now, despite the fact these are 3 issues, these 3 oversized issues collected in one trade. Most of this is what his run was leading to, this very miniseries, and this would be pretty much the end of this run for a while, for about 2 or 3 years before they launched another book. By a lot of people, Andy Diggle. Yes. And the most recent was done by Colin Bunn. Of course, you have Jack's, I think, his girlfriend in the book, where she questions Punk Mumbo of why she's obsessed with Jack, because he's going to be used to in the future. That's the reason why. And I like the fact that in the most recent run, they explored his connection to Punk Mumbo. There's nothing to suggest that Jack is him having any feelings for Punk Mumbo. Not at all. I'm sure he probably thinks she's a very attractive woman, despite the fact, as we know in other books, that she's not aged as 1970s. But yeah, this book, I enjoy this book. Really good. I give this book roughly 9.5 out of 10. Yeah, who would have thunk, though, that the 5th trade had picked up for Shadowman, the collection that I presume was thought was part of that 4th volume for Shadowman, would actually be the miniseries. And this would be actually the end of Peter Milligan's time book. Very brief run he had in the book. I mean, if you count these issues, he's only booked roughly for 7 issues. Very short run in the book. But my final thoughts on Peter Milligan's run for the book is that it's good. It did lead to a one-shot afterwards, which I think gets in trade. It's more like in deluxe edition. And then we'll have the run I had previous review. Review the first couple trades for it. Yep. But yeah, this is pretty much a particular review. Stay tuned for my next review, which will be tomorrow, which will start off with Blade of the Immortal. Okay, next video. Bye.